So, guys, there's a lot of drama in the arm wrestling world right now, considering there's been a falling out between Engen Terzi and East versus West owners Robert and Dexter, and Engen has resigned as his role within the company. So my goal with this video is just to kind of summarize this for viewers who have not been paying really close attention to all this drama stuff with the East versus West, falling apart. This was a good stream here from Henry yesterday, almost an 8.5 hour long stream, almost a 9 hour stream. He had multiple guests on. He had Dexter on. He had Drew, which was the guy who was doing like some of the media content and some of the interviews. He had Neil on. So I did watch a good amount of portions of this. So I could definitely give a pretty general overview of kind of my recap on the situation here, but let's hear. I paused it at a certain moment here just to hear some questions for Dexter.
People asking for Ray to get in here. I don't know. So are you going to be able to get visas for those athletes in time to compete at this event in Loveland, Colorado? And if not, also actually more important question, who's going to be setting the matches now that Engen's gone?
So the idea is it's going to be a combination. It's going to be, instead of one person making unilateral decisions, it's going to be a mixture. So there will be a council of advisors, and advisors would, be chaired by Robert, but there will be people such as Neil Pickup, and Coach Ray has also been invited to be on the council. I'm on there because I'm not an arm wrestler. The only thing that I'm doing is polling and getting data from fans, from our viewers to see what they would like to see the next matches are. I'm getting those data and handing to the.
Okay, so instead of Engen with complete control over the matchmaking, it looks like they're transitioning to a council, as you heard there, with some people, such as Coach Ray being invited back, which actually in that stream, Dexter basically formally welcomed Coach Ray back. Obviously, Engen didn't want Coach Ray at the events. Basically, I mean, that's what everything suggests. And Coach Ray was actually very emotional discussing that in this portion. You can look for yourself around 1 hour, 30 minutes in this stream. Coach Ray basically opened up saying just expressing his frustrations on why he helped build King of the Table in East versus West and he was not being invited back. And you could tell he's very frustrated on that. So that's cool to see that he'll be welcomed back. But really, it's crazy that Engen and East versus West, they couldn't come to some sort of meet in the middle as far as what's going on here. I want to read kind of a community post just from today from East versus West from Robert, and then also there's one from Engen. This is 9 hours ago. Let me read this one first from Engen. So he said, a new flower festival was planned to set in a country that all participants could travel, and participant list was planned according to the location. It was confirmed before the most recent flower festival, but the flower shop owner just choose another location that participants couldn't travel by the wish of one important participant. So to me, that's hinting at there's one important participant who doesn't want it to be in a certain location, being it was going to be in Azerbaijan, I believe, Baku, Azerbaijan, the match between Vitali and Devon. But Engen is suggesting that Devon is the one influencing the match to be held at the Shaw Classic on Friday, August 15th in Colorado instead of over there. So to me, that's what he's hinting at there. Let's look at the comments. Hopefully you guys can work this out somehow. We would hate to see East versus West destroyed after all the work you did to build it. Very true. We need you guys to work this out for the sake of our arm wrestling. Yeah, 100%. So the match between Vitali and Devon was set in Baku, and then they decided to move the event to the U.S. What a joke. And Devon is saying that Vitali is ducking him. So, I mean, it's hard to say what's going on behind the scenes with this stuff, like the different influences between those involved with East versus West and, what's truly going on. And usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. But let's see what else we got here. Say goodbye to the East versus West that we used to watch in the past years. Yeah, we know that Engen was not very happy with the production on that most recent event, the Hermes versus Levon events. I mean, it was starting late. There was obviously that power surge instance where the live feed cut out for over an hour, and that was not ideal. Some issues with the scorecard as well. So definitely there were a lot of people complaining about that. But let me read the statement from East versus West arm wrestling from 4 hours ago here today. In light of the recent turbulence over Engen's resignation from East versus West, which led to inaccurate assumptions by some of the community, I feel compelled to share some background and details in full transparency so no arm wrestlers are misled by certain claims. I've been an arm wrestler since 1994, competing in many of the WAF World Championships along the way through 2024. I love arm wrestling and the arm wrestlers. I've known and loved Engen Terzi for years. I'm grateful to Engen for all that he's done for our sport and athletes worldwide. I will always credit Engen for establishing the best arm wrestling league in the world and for being the most knowledgeable person on the planet in arm wrestling, in my opinion. So these are from the words of Robert Baxter. Last summer, I could see East versus West with all of its challenges was literally killing Engen from the stress, alarming high blood pressure, heart issues, and a heart attack. As a friend, I met him over dinner at the Moldova World Championships last August to try and convince him to create a team environment in the company and distribute the responsibilities accordingly so the overwhelming burden didn't overcome him. He said, "I can't do that, Robert. I'm a control freak and no one can do all the things as well as I can." I said, "Then you have to sell it or you'll be dead soon." I offered to donate my time to help him sell it. He said he'd only sell it to me because of my love for arm wrestling and his trust in me. So he ended up agreeing to buy 100% of the company. So this is where the details come in. So Robert bought 100% of the company with additional money that would go to his wife or son if he ever sold. Engen agreed to stay on as an independent contractor to help me as long as he had complete control over matchmaking, reffing, rules, announcer, and commentators. So that's the stipulation that is drawing some of probably the division between them here, because Engen feel like he's losing control over maybe the location of the event or how some of the things are going, and then he's just kind of giving up on. That's to me what it's seeming like to some extent. Engen and a friend of his owned 30% of proceeds from King of the Table. King of the Table wasn't set up as a company. He and Don Idris asked me to buy the trademark and video content associated with it. After looking into the financials, it was clear I shouldn't proceed any further. Don Idris owed athletes a lot of money, and Engen himself was owed the most. Engen asked me to reconsider because he and many athletes would be severely harmed financially if I didn't help them. I asked arm wrestling friends, including John Brezink, Bob Brown, and Luke Polsher, what they thought about me buying the assets of King of the Table under these circumstances. All of them advised me not to waste my money and to let King of the Table fail. After much consideration, and only because I didn't want fellow arm wrestlers to be hurt, I agreed to pay Don the majority of what the athletes were owed by him, with receipts showing they were paid. I also agreed to pay 50% of any future King of the Table profits toward the remainder of athlete money and Engen debt owed. So he's basically taking on the debt when he bought the company from King of the Table from some of the athletes who weren't paid in the past. So that was where there was some drama in this live stream between Dexter and then this Roman guy who is one of the video editor guys. I think they got fired at one point, but he was like absolutely going at Dexter, and Dexter was getting heated. He was saying that the athletes weren't paid, but really, since the company was owned by Dexter and Robert, they have paid all the athletes, but there were certain debts in the past that were not transferred, still not paid off when the company was bought, basically. So this got pretty heated. Again, I'm going to link all this in the description. You can view some of the stuff if you want additional context on this whole situation and everything.
Successful. And nobody's going to repeat that. It's probably the most successful arm wrestling league in history. And I'll give credit to that. It's literally the most. But can we also agree that East versus West 15 would have been the last event put on.
Hey, Ray, I threw you in as well, so I guess we'll all be here.
Great
Hey,
to
guys.
see you, Ray.
I still want to jump. I didn't want to.
So I didn't pause it at the best spot to see them going at it, but just watch that video for yourself and go through it, because definitely a lot of good context in there. I just want to finish off this post here, though. Dexter Tan has not tried to diminish Engen's legacy in the arm wrestling community, nor will he. I brought Dexter in with me from the very beginning to help East vs. West expand its fan base for quite some time. Engen worked well with Dexter. Engen often praised him both privately and publicly for making his job far easier and for being very smart. And then Robert says, I've never blacklisted anyone, including Raymond Lipens. So that was basically Engen's intent there, to blacklist Raymond. Until we receive visas for all of our athletes, we will continue to hold some East versus West events in Europe. Even after this time, we don't plan to hold all of our events in North America. East versus West does pay for our athletes' transportation. Thank you all for the support, and that's Robert Baxter. So some good information there. I think East versus West still going to survive past all this temporary waves in the freaking ocean, however you want to call it, just some temporary drama. There's always some type of drama in the arm wrestling world, but it is better when everything is united and heading in the right direction, which I still think arm wrestling is growing significantly. And it will be cool to see East versus West holding events everywhere. That visa issue definitely seems to be an issue for some of these like Eastern European athletes going to North America, for example. Like, a lot of these Eastern European athletes actually had like a coordinated post on social media yesterday where they were siding with Engen and saying that they quit the league. That's something I didn't really mention so far into the video, but a lot of those athletes are like boycotting the league or saying they're quitting East versus West because Engen was pushed out, basically. So including Vitali Laletin saying that with considering visa issues, it's not going to be possible for him to pull Devon Larratt on August 15th in Colorado, when he thought initially it was going to be in Azerbaijan August 2nd or something like that. So makes things a little bit more confusing. I hope everything gets actually worked out and they can work together, and hopefully that event does happen in the US. As an American, obviously I want to see that happen, more events here. But I mean, I think it's cool that events can go all over the world in different countries and bounce around, and more consistent good events, as long as the quality is high. If they're just trying to push out more events just for the sake of trying to make more money on pay-per-views, I mean, and the quality goes down, then that's a sacrifice that I don't think is worth it. I want to keep the quality of the presentation, the production. Hopefully that continues to improve, and there's because they've been saying that for multiple events, and then there's still been a lot of errors in the production, to be honest. So yeah, hopefully that stuff improves and everybody's able to work together. That's kind of my assessment on the situation. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this whole situation, and yeah, I'll be back with more videos.